The void between star systems had always been senior scan technician Furlax's domain of quiet contemplation. For 3 standard galactic cycles, he had monitored the expansive darkness of Sector 7 Gamma, a region so remote that most navigation charts marked it with nothing more than a faint numerical designation. The tristellar hegemony considered this assignment a punishment, a bureaucratic exile for those who had fallen from grace or shown insufficient ambition. Furlax was different. He found peace in the methodical sweep of quantum resonance scanners, the gentle hum of advanced detection systems that could pick up the faintest whisper of electromagnetic radiation from thousands of light years away. His multiple eyes, a genetic advantage of his species that allowed near 360-degree perception, were trained on the holographic display with a focus that bordered on religious dedication. That's why, when the anomaly first appeared, he knew something was fundamentally wrong. It began as a mere shimmer, a distortion in the quantum background noise that would have been invisible to less sensitive equipment. Most scan technicians would have dismissed it as a calibration error or a random quantum fluctuation. But Furlax had spent decades studying the subtle language of space, and this whisper was speaking volumes. The object materialized like a nightmare given technological form. It wasn't just large, it was impossible. Conventional spaceship design followed strict principles of energy efficiency, structural integrity, and aesthetic uniformity. This vessel violated every single one of those principles with a brazen disregard that bordered on industrial blasphemy. Its hull seemed to be constructed from multiple incompatible material systems. Sections that should have been smooth were jagged and asymmetrical. Areas that demanded rigid structural support appeared to be held together by what looked like improvised reinforcement techniques. Quantum resonance scans revealed layers of technology that seemed to be in constant, dynamic reconfiguration, as if the ship itself was a living, breathing entity capable of real-time adaptation. Furlax's first instinct was to run additional diagnostic checks. His secondary neural cluster, responsible for threat assessment, fired rapidly. The vessel's energy signature was wrong. Completely, fundamentally wrong. It absorbed background radiation in patterns that defied known physics, its silhouette flickering between visibility and shadow like some kind of technological chameleon. When the first clear image resolved on his primary display, Furlax made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. Instead of immediately reporting the contact, which would have been standard protocol, he ran the scans 3 more times. Each subsequent scan confirmed the impossible. This was no sensor ghost, no calibration error. This was a real vessel, and it was approaching the neutral trading zone of the Orion Arm with a deliberate, calculated trajectory. The ship's identification markers were equally perplexing. A simple alphanumeric code scrolled across his display. UNSF DEFIANT, United Nations Space Fleet. A designation that should have been impossible, given humanity's supposed technological limitations. Furlax's communication implant trembled with the weight of potential information. Reporting this would mean career advancement, or total professional destruction, depending on how his superiors interpreted the data. The vessel challenged every known principle of spaceship design. Its very existence seemed to be a mathematical improbability. As minutes stretched into what felt like hours, the anomalous vessel continued its approach. No standard communication protocols were initiated. No navigation beacons were transmitted. It was as if the ship itself was a question mark, a technological enigma daring the universe to understand its nature. Senior scan technician Furlax knew, with a certainty that resonated through his entire being, that everything was about to change. This was not just another routine patrol. This was first contact, but not in any way the tristellar hegemony could have anticipated. The ghost in the void was no longer just a ghost. It was becoming very, very real. And it was coming. Dr. Area Chen's fingers danced across the holographic interface like a concert pianist performing an impossibly complex symphony. The UNSF Defiant was more than just a spacecraft. It was a technological miracle held together by equal parts genius, desperation, and sheer human audacity. Each system was a cannibalizing marvel of repurposed technology, a testament to humanity's ability to turn limitation into strength. Her latest modification sat before her like a beautiful nightmare. A decommissioned particle accelerator, originally designed for terrestrial research, was now being integrated into the ship's defensive grid. Most standard galactic engineering conferences would have erupted in laughter at such a proposal. Here, it was just another Tuesday. "Araya," she called out, her voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems. "Run Simulation Gamma 7 on the particle deflection matrix." The ship's adaptive reconfigurable intelligence algorithm, responded immediately, not with a cold, mechanical voice, but with a tone that bordered on sardonic. "Running simulation. Probability of catastrophic system failure. 62.3%. Probability of unprecedented defensive capability. 37.7%. Araya grinned. Those were better odds than they'd started with. The Defiant was born from humanity's most desperate hour. When the first extrasolar threats emerged, alien reconnaissance missions that made it clear humanity was not alone, and potentially not welcome. Traditional military thinking collapsed. Conventional weapons, conventional strategies, conventional anything became obsolete overnight. This ship represented humanity's response, not a weapon of conquest, but a testament to survival. Each system told a story of improvisation. The primary power coupling was a modified fusion reactor originally designed for deep-sea mining platforms. Cooling systems incorporated technology from quantum computing research. Even the hull was a patchwork of adaptive metamaterials, some developed for earthquake-resistant structures, others originally conceived for medical nanobots. Structural integrity at 87%. Araya reported. Quantum resonance dampeners are surprisingly stable. Araya knew surprisingly stable was high praise from an AI designed to be perpetually skeptical. Her hand traced the holographic representation of the ship's systems, a living, breathing diagram of human innovation. Outside the reinforced viewports, stars stretched into lines of potential. Humanity had always been best when backed into a corner, when survival demanded creativity. The Defiant was proof of that principle. Every system was a middle finger to the universe's expectations, a declaration that human beings would not go quietly into the cosmic night. The particle accelerator integration completed its first successful test. Araya watched as energy patterns danced across her display, impossible geometries that would make traditional physicists weep. This wasn't just technology. This was art. "Dr. Chen." Araya's voice carried a hint of what might have been excitement. "Incoming quantum resonance detection from external sources. Consistent with advanced long-range scanning technologies." Araya's smile turned predatory. "Let them look," she whispered. "Let them try to understand." The ship wasn't just a weapon. It was a living puzzle designed to confuse, misdirect, and ultimately survive. And they were just getting started. Outside, the vast emptiness of space waited, indifferent, infinite, and about to be very surprised. Captain Miranda Rodriguez understood that communication was warfare by other means. Her fingers hovered over the quantum encryption interface, each movement calculated, deliberate. The transmission they were about to send wasn't just a message. It was a weapon, a statement, an entire philosophy compressed into data streams that would take decades to fully comprehend. The bridge of the UNSF Defiant was a study in controlled chaos. Holographic displays flickered with real-time system analyses, quantum entanglement communication arrays pulsed with potential, and the crew moved with the synchronized precision of a single organism. Miranda knew they weren't just a ship's complement. They were humanity's first true interstellar ambassadors. "Prepare quantum encryption protocol Omega-9, she commanded, her voice steady. Around her, specialists moved with practiced efficiency. Lieutenant Carlos Rodriguez, her younger brother, and the ship's primary communication specialist, began the intricate process of message construction. "Encryption matrix is stabilizing. Carlos reported. "We're embedding multiple communication layers, standard translation protocols, quantum signature markers, and—" He paused, a slight grin crossing his face, a few surprises. The message would be a deliberate puzzle, not just information, but a test. A challenge to whatever alien intelligence might be receiving it. "This is the UNSF Defiant." The primary communication began. Standard enough. But beneath that simple introduction lay complexity that would confound any standard translation matrix. Technical readouts were mixed with seemingly random system diagnostics. Quantum encrypted messages were woven through the transmission like hidden threads in a complex tapestry. Each layer told a different story. The surface level provided basic identification and non-aggressive intent. Deeper layers contained sophisticated diagnostic information about the ship's systems, not as a display of weakness, but as a calculated demonstration of technological capability. Even deeper encryptions held cultural information, mathematical proofs, and subtle psychological profiling data. It was an invitation and a warning wrapped in a technological enigma. Miranda knew the aliens would be expecting either complete opacity or straightforward communication. They would receive neither. This transmission was designed to make them work, to make them realize that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. Transmission in 3. Carlos counted down. 2. 1. The quantum communication burst from the Defiance arrays, a concentrated beam of information that would travel faster than light, carrying with it humanity's first true interstellar message. Not a plea, not a threat, but a declaration of presence and potential. "We are not here to start a conflict," the message concluded, buried layers deep. "We are here to ensure it doesn't start with us." On the bridge, Miranda allowed herself the smallest of smiles. First contact had just become a lot more interesting. Admiral Cathax's strategic planning room descended into a maelstrom of technological panic. The holographic displays flickered with real-time data from the approaching human vessel, each new reading more impossible than the last. Veteran strategists who had spent generations planning naval engagements across multiple star systems found themselves staring at tactical scenarios that defied every known combat algorithm. The Hegemony's battle group represented the pinnacle of galactic military technology. Sleek vessels with precision energy weapons, quantum-locked defensive systems, and computational networks that could predict enemy movements with near-perfect accuracy. They had subjugated civilizations, crushed rebellions, and maintained galactic order for millennia. And now, they were about to meet their match. "Tactical analysis," Cathax demanded, his four-fingered hand crushing the edge of the holographic display. The lead tactical analyst, a veteran named Vornak, looked like he was about to be physically ill. "Sir," Vornak began, his translator implant struggling to keep up with the rapid-fire biological responses of stress, "the human vessel is unconventional." Unconventional was an understatement. When the Hegemony battle group launched what should have been an overwhelming assault, the UNSF Defiant didn't just defend. It transformed the entire battlefield into a three-dimensional chess match where the rules kept changing every microsecond. Energy weapons that should have obliterated any standard vessel were absorbed and redirected. Not deflected, not dispersed, absorbed. The Defiant's hull seemed to drink in destructive energy like a living organism, then metamorphose that energy into something completely unexpected. Missile barrages, each projectile carrying enough destructive potential to crack a small moon, were met with localized gravity manipulations that turned devastating attacks into harmless debris. Swarms of autonomous combat drones found themselves caught in quantum entanglement fields that rendered their programming meaningless. "It's learning," whispered Vornak, a note of terror in his voice. "The vessel is actively learning and adapting to our attack vectors in real time." Cathax understood then that they were facing something beyond a mere technological threat. This was a fundamental challenge to everything that Hegemony understood about warfare, about technology, about the very nature of intelligent systems. The Defiant wasn't just a ship. It was a statement, a living, breathing declaration that humanity would not be conquered, would not be categorized, would not be controlled. Each defensive action was more impossible than the last. A communication array became an electromagnetic weapon. A mining laser transformed into a precision surgical tool of destruction. The very hull of the ship became a weapon, its adaptive metamaterials shifting and responding faster than any known targeting system could track. Full tactical analysis, Cathax demanded, though he already knew the report would be more nightmare than data. Vornak's hands trembled as he compiled the information. Weapon systems neutralized. Attack vectors redirected. Computational networks overwhelmed. The human vessel had turned the most sophisticated military engagement into something that resembled a child's complicated game of strategy. The hegemony was about to learn a brutal lesson. Humanity played by different rules. And they were very, very good at winning. The universe has rules. Fundamental principles that govern the interaction of matter, energy, and intelligence. For millennia, the Galactic Confederation believed these rules were immutable, consistent across all known civilizations. The human vessel was about to prove them catastrophically wrong. What the alien observers didn't understand was the Defiant's true nature. It wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's collective middle finger to the universe, a mobile testament to their species' ability to turn limitation into unprecedented strength. When the ship's AI began coordinating the defense, it did so with a creativity that bordered on the absurd. Each system was a potential weapon. Each limitation was an opportunity for innovation. A mining laser, originally designed to carve resources from asteroid fields, became a precision energy weapon with targeting capabilities that would make dedicated military systems weep. Its original purpose of extraction transformed into a tool of surgical destruction. The beam didn't just cut through energy shields. It analyzed them, learned from them, and found their most fundamental weaknesses. The communication array, a system meant to transmit data across vast interstellar distances, became an electronic warfare platform that could simultaneously jam, analyze, and manipulate enemy communication networks. It wasn't just blocking signals. It was having a conversation with the enemy's entire computational infrastructure, learning and adapting faster than any known AI could process. Even the hull became a weapon. Adaptive metamaterials shifted and reconfigured with each incoming attack. Energy dispersal patterns that should have been mathematically impossible became standard operating procedure. Where other vessels would have been destroyed, the Defiant absorbed, redirected, and transformed incoming destructive potential. Lieutenant Elena Rodriguez, the ship's materials engineer, watched the battle unfold like a conductor leading a complex symphonic performance. Each system was an instrument, each attack a musical note to be understood, manipulated, transformed. "Araya," she called out, her voice calm despite the massive computational and physical battle occurring around them. "Run lateral quantum resonance on the incoming energy signatures." The AI's response was instantaneous. Computational processes that would have taken traditional systems decades were completed in microseconds. The ship didn't just defend, it understood. Missile swarms found themselves caught in localized gravitational anomalies. Energy weapons were absorbed and then returned to their sources with mathematically precise redirections. The Defiant wasn't just surviving. It was teaching a lesson. Humanity had always been best when backed into a corner, when survival demanded creativity. When the universe presented a challenge, they didn't just rise to meet it. They rewrote the entire concept of meeting challenges. This wasn't just a battle. This was a demonstration. And the universe was about to take notes. Intercepted communications revealed the ship's true heart. This wasn't a military vessel in any traditional sense. It was a civilization, a floating, living ecosystem where the line between crew, ship, and technology blurred into something entirely unprecedented. The bridge was a symphony of controlled chaos. Holographic displays flickered with real-time system analyses, quantum entanglement communication arrays pulsed with potential, and the crew moved with the synchronized precision of a single collective intelligence. Lieutenant Carlos Rodriguez argued with ARIA about a potential shield modulation, while Dr. Chen ran simultaneous quantum dynamics simulations. A conversation about replacing a coolant system seamlessly transitioned into a debate about quantum entanglement principles. Technical discussions became philosophical explorations, each crew member contributing not just expertise, but imagination. The primary gravitational compensator is showing microfluctuations in the tertiary quantum matrix, Carlos observed, his fingers dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. Aria's response came with what could only be described as a hint of dry humor. Microfluctuations are 0.003% outside optimal parameters. Recommendation: recalibrate using the secondary resonance algorithm developed during the Titan station incident. Most AI systems would have simply provided a solution. Aria referenced a previous problem-solving scenario, demonstrating a form of contextual learning that bordered on true intelligence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's xenobiological specialist, was simultaneously tracking the ongoing defensive engagement and analyzing potential communication protocols for first contact. Her workstation was a controlled explosion of data, mathematical models intertwining with linguistic analysis algorithms. "We're more than just a military vessel," she often said. "We're a message, the living demonstration of human potential." Each crew member represented a different aspect of human capability. Carlos, with his communication expertise; Elena, bridging biological and technological understanding; Aria Chen, turning technological limitations into strengths; Captain Miranda Rodriguez, orchestrating this impossible symphony. The ship's internal communication network was itself a marvel. Not a simple data transmission system, but a quantum-entangled neural network that allowed instantaneous, nuanced communication. Thoughts, technical observations, and creative insights flowed between human and artificial intelligence with a fluidity that would have seemed like magic to traditional technological paradigms. They weren't just defending themselves. They were conducting the most complex first contact scenario in human history, and they were doing it with a combination of scientific precision and wild, uncontrollable human creativity. The Defiant wasn't just a ship. It was humanity's most perfect self-portrait, complex, adaptive, slightly mad, and absolutely unstoppable. The Galactic Council chamber trembled with unspoken tension, its vast crystalline expanse a testament to millennia of interstellar diplomacy suddenly rendered obsolete. Delegates from 100 different star systems sat frozen, their sophisticated translation matrices struggling to process the implications of humanity's unexpected arrival. Captain Miranda Rodriguez stood at the epicenter of this political earthquake, her posture a perfect blend of military precision and diplomatic defiance. Behind her, a series of holographic displays began to unfold, not as a weapon, but as a narrative that would rewrite everything the Galactic Council thought they understood about humanity. "We are not here to apologize," Miranda began, her voice cutting through the multilayered translation systems like a quantum blade. "We are here to be understood." The first holographic projection showed the Defiant's encounter with the Hegemony battle group. But this was no simple battle replay. Each moment was meticulously deconstructed, revealing layers of technological and strategic complexity that defied conventional military understanding. A Zornak's diplomatic representative, a being composed of intricate silicon-based molecular structures, leaned forward, mandible-equivalent appendages twitching with unprecedented interest. The human presentation was unlike anything in galactic diplomatic history. Miranda's presentation wasn't just a defense. It was a comprehensive exploration of human potential. Quantum communication arrays embedded in the holographic displays began transmitting additional data streams. Mathematical proofs danced alongside cultural information. Technical specifications intertwined with philosophical concepts. It was a communication method that was simultaneously a weapon, a peace offering, and a fundamental challenge to galactic understanding. "Our technology is not a product of linear development," Miranda explained. "It is an ecosystem. Each limitation is an opportunity. Each challenge is a potential breakthrough." The Defiance engagement log showed something unprecedented. Where other species saw destruction, humans saw information. Where traditional military systems sought total elimination, the human vessel had systematically neutralized threats while preserving the maximum amount of recoverable data and potential. A representative from the quantum collective, a species that had existed for millennia as a distributed computational network, found themselves experiencing something remarkably close to biological astonishment. The human approach to technological development was not just different, it was revolutionary. Embedded within the presentation were layers of communication that went beyond simple diplomatic protocol. Mathematical sequences that could be interpreted as both technical specifications and cultural invitations. Quantum encryption layers that were simultaneously a defensive mechanism and an open-handed gesture of potential cooperation. "We are not asking for permission to exist." Miranda's final statement resonated through the chamber. "We are declaring our presence, and we are offering a new paradigm of interstellar interaction." The holographic displays behind her showed not just the Defiant, but glimpses of Earth, not as a primitive planet, but as a crucible of adaptive potential. Ecosystems that had survived multiple extinction events. A species that had transformed nearly impossible challenges into opportunities for growth. As the presentation concluded, the diplomatic landscape of the galaxy had already begun to shift. Humanity was no longer a footnote. They were a variable that could not be predicted, controlled, or easily categorized. The Galactic Council would never be the same. The aftermath of the encounter rewrote everything. Computational analysis centers across multiple star systems worked with unprecedented intensity. Entire research institutions were restructured. Technological development paradigms that had remained unchanged for millennia suddenly looked like relics of an obsolete understanding. The Defiant was more than a vessel. It was a living, breathing challenge to every established galactic concept of technological and social development. Dr. Krelax of the Vornax Confederacy research team, a being who had spent 3 centuries studying emerging technological civilizations, found his entire professional understanding fundamentally transformed. The human approach was not just different. It was a completely new form of technological evolution. "They don't develop technology," he reported to the Confederacy's Central Research Council. "They cultivate it, like a living ecosystem." Traditional galactic understanding suggested that technological development followed predictable paths. Linear progression, incremental improvements, careful, controlled expansion. Humanity obliterated those concepts with a casual, almost contemptuous efficiency. Where other species saw limitations, humans saw potential. Where traditional technological development followed rigid, predetermined paths, human innovation was a complex, adaptive network that defied conventional analysis. The hegemony's traditional approach of technological intimidation had been completely dismantled. Their most advanced battle group had been neutralized not through superior firepower, but through a combination of adaptive intelligence, creative problem-solving, and a fundamental reimagining of what technology could represent. Other marginalized species began to look at humanity with a new perspective. Here was a civilization that didn't just survive. They transformed survival into an art form of technological and social innovation. Diplomatic channels that had been stable for thousands of years began to shift. The carefully maintained hierarchies of technological and political power suddenly looked like fragile constructs, ready to be reimagined. The Defiant became more than a vessel. It became a symbol, a declaration that technological capability was not about raw power, but about adaptive potential, about the ability to transform limitations into unprecedented strengths. Humanity had not just passed the assessment. They had transformed the entire assessment process. In research facilities across multiple star systems, scientists and analysts worked to understand the impossible. How could a species that had only recently achieved interstellar travel demonstrate such comprehensive, adaptive capabilities? The answer was both simple and revolutionary. Humanity didn't follow rules. They rewrote them. As stellar cycles passed, the encounter would be remembered not as a military engagement, but as a fundamental shift in galactic understanding. The moment when a previously overlooked species demonstrated that technological potential was not about predetermined paths, but about the capacity for continuous, creative transformation. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would never be the same.